to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob. Let's get right into the show, because we got a lot to cover.
We're going to get the show rolling.
What? For
so we got
everyone that says New Jersey, they just played at PNC Art Center.
They just played everywhere, basically, along with, what's his name, that Corey Feldman.
It's amazing because that new metal is not so new anymore.
It's not. I mean, let's be honest here. Fred Durst looks like somebody's grandpa at this point. Not even someone's uncle, someone's grandpa. So it is what it is. He needs to just put the hat back on. So
she never took it off.
Guys, we got a loaded episode here for you guys. We got so much stuff. It's not even funny. It's like you would think a random Monday in between the first two games of the preseason, you get a little bit of news here and there, some possible, little bits and pieces here and there. No, we got new Giants. We got Giants cut. We got injuries. We got all kinds of stuff to go over with you guys here. So let's break right into it here. So we're going to start with the guy who took a lot of slack after the week one preseason game. And let's be honest, rightfully so to a certain degree. 100%. He didn't have a good game, but I'll still say it's a preseason game, guys. Let's not get out of hand.
And it also wasn't that much of a tape to go over.
And that's always what it is, a preseason. Exactly. So, but Drew Lock, the big question is going to be, what's going on with him? Is he going to be ready for the regular season? Because if not, that means it'd be Tommy DeVito's job and not much of a contest and competition there for QB number 2 there. So he said today that he is 100% confident that he'll be ready for week 1. He said there's no worry in that. How I felt yesterday, even how I felt today, there's no worry about that. He even told the media he's already starting to throw. So he said not like 60, 70-yard bombs, but we're slinging it around. So, yeah, he's not that badly hurt. It's almost like if it was a regular season injury, he'd probably be on the roster and playing. But because it's preseason and his job is secure, because I don't care what people say. I know people love DeVito. And listen, I'm a fan of him as well. It's a good story. But in the end, Drew Lock is the veteran. Drew Lock was handed $5 million, almost entirely guaranteed, except for a tiny little workout bonus. So, yeah, he's not going anywhere, guys. So,
also was a good story. It was Rudy.
Rudy was a very good story, I hear. I've never actually seen that movie.
But he really didn't play. That's a good story.
I'm going to stick with the movie The Program. That was a damn good movie. You want to talk about a football movie? That's a movie. But yeah, so Drew Lock, I think we'll probably see him maybe in the third game. We won't see him this week, obviously. But even if we don't see him in the third game, guys, he's QB2. He's QB2. Like, there's no end or buts about it there, guys. Just the matter with DeVito is if he makes it to be a third QB or if they try to sneak him onto the practice squad. So Drew Lock, though, will be healthy. And listen, love him or hate him, he's one of the more experienced quarterbacks in this roster, guys. It's not a bad thing having him around. It's just a matter of whether or not we can sneak DeVito onto this roster as well, because I don't think any of us want to lose DeVito considering the QB situation. And he had a little bit of spark plug mentality, that's for damn sure. But Drew Lock will be healthy and ready to go there. We also got to talk about with Drew Lock here, more Drew Lock news. He talked about whether or not he heard of the cheers for Tommy DeVito when he came in when Drew Lock was hurt, because that was talked about quite often. Because if you aren't a New York fan, meaning whether it's, Giants, Jets, Knicks, Nets, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Islanders, I guess we can throw the Devils in.
Tri-State, yeah, I guess.
All of us in this area, basically, we're a little vocal. We're not shy.
Not the nicest.
We're not shy. And when, Locke got hurt, there was literally people cheering. And that's not normal to see, guys. That's not normal at all to see. And there was a lot of talk about that and the fact that was kind of unclassy, I guess is the best way to put it. I want to say classless, but unclassy is probably a little nicer to say.
Yeah.
So, Drew Lock was asked point blank if he heard the cheering when DeVito came in. He said, I'm sure it's just a dance about it. He said, I'm sure that could have happened. Absolutely. He played his butt off with his team last year, and I went out there and threw a pick. I wouldn't expect them to be booing him when they took me out. So it is what it is.
He's in good spirits about it.
It's kind of a perfect attitude for New York, guys.
Yeah.
Like I got to give Drew Lock a little kudos in this. This is a good response at that point. You know, I mean, your best bet in this scenario, because you can't blame the fans. And I'm not saying he wouldn't be wrong for saying, yeah, I didn't really like that very much, but you know, and try to like blow it off a little bit, but kind of give a little comment like that. But he didn't. He didn't play so good.
He did it all right. He just said,
and he moved on. And again, it's preseason, guys. Like, we can't sit there and like have our entire opinion on a player based on 1 or 2 preseason series when the Giants primarily are running the ball. Like, I get it. The interception was bad. He didn't look good. It's one drive, guys. That's
not even a complete drive.
We're talking about practicing. We're talking about preseason. Yeah. So, again, Drew Lock, not the greatest quarterback in the world. It's a legitimate NFL. So let's cut him a little slack. I think it's the right thing to do there. When asked about his play overall during the game, he said, "I would say some of the plays. Obviously, I want back. Operation was fine. Execution could have been better for sure. Should have been better. Again, I give the guy credit for just sticking up and saying, yeah, I did bad. I got to do better. That's, you don't see a lot of players often doing that. Sometimes it's, they blame the situation. They blame somebody else in the field. They throw the blame around. He took it on. That's a leader. That's the right way to do this. So. Now, the QB situation is going to get a little murky this week, guys. So QB1, Daniel Jones, of course. QB2, Tommy DeVito. So who's going to be quarterback number 3, guys? If you tight end Tyree Jackson, you are correct. By the way, I just realized it's misspelled in that. Well, change that. That's what happened. I do things quick after work. Womp. So yeah, he is officially going to be the emergency quarterback, they're calling him. There was a lot of speculation on whether or not the Giants were going to go ahead and sign a veteran quarterback, or at least a quarterback in general, quarterback with this preseason game coming up. Air Canada himself, Nathan Rourke, we talked about him as a guy potentially because of the fact that Giants just cut him. So already knows the playbook and that kind of stuff. Already knows the teammates. And he got signed by the Falcons. Well, guess what, guys? He got cut already by the Falcons. So, a little more speculation on that one there. But the Giants have said no, they're not going to do it. So they're interested in having Tyree Jackson be the listed as their emergency quarterback instead. And they're going to just ride with DJ and Tommy DeVito there for the QBs there in the game of the Texans there. So Tyree was a quarterback in college, for those who aren't aware. So it's not like they're just throwing some random guy at the position there. He was a quarterback at Buffalo before entering the NFL and was converted to tight end once he got there. His senior season, he threw for 3,131 yards, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So Drew Lock was asked about the thoughts on the move. He said, "That'd be funny. We trained together back when we were getting ready for the combine. I've seen him with the quarterback dreams. He's moved on. He's worked with the tight ends. But if he had to, he can get back there and do it. The guy can sling it." It makes you wonder, because you talk about, people who can play multiple positions in the NFL, and that's a big thing to make a team, make a roster. You got to wonder if a guy can play tight end, but in an emergency situation can pop in as the quarterback. Does that help his chances making a roster?
100% does.
You can't hurt. That's for damn sure.
100% does. Because go way down south, go to Louisiana, go down to New Orleans, and talk about some Taysom Hill over there, because he's only got a roster. Hill does
things on the field besides play quarterback. Let's be honest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's a tight end. He's listed as a tight end that plays quarterback.
Yeah, he does all kinds of weird things. They don't know what the hell to do with him. They have no clue what to do with Taysom Hill.
They're just like, we need to keep this guy because he could play. He's not great anywhere, but he plays everywhere.
Yeah. So, like I said, interesting move for a guy who, quite frankly, I would not have said, hey, this guy can make the roster. But could he now? Is that a possibility? Is that something that you think about if he comes in and plays well as a quarterback? Or does this possibly, if he makes the roster, hurt Tommy DeVito's chances of making the roster then as well? because you go, okay, well, screw it. I got an emergency quarterback in case. So I'm curious. To see. It's a fun little side note. It's going to be for a preseason game that, let's be honest, by quarter 2 we're going to be bored.
100%.
So let's be honest here. If he's playing quarterback in the fourth quarter, we have something to watch, something to entertain us at this point. Having a guy on an NFL field, again, against backups, but still an NFL field, when he hasn't played quarterback since 2018, I believe.
I would love to see him in the second quarter line up in the field as a tight end. And they just start doing some crazy stuff with him to keep me entertained, past halftime. What are you
not entertained?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to see him throw the ball and just be like, "Are you not entertained?" And he throws a pick.
Now, I did look it up just to make sure I'm correct on this, by the way, guys. He has not thrown a pass in the NFL yet. So, yeah, it'd be his first time since 2018. That's a little crazy, guys. That'd be a little entertaining to watch, that's for sure. So, but let's talk about the quarterback that is going to play. And that's Daniel Jones. He's expected to start versus the Texans here, guys. This is big. Maybe not as big as some people will make it out to be, but it's big. Coach Dable announced that on Sunday he's going to be playing. It's the first time that DJ has been played since his big ACL injury at that point there, which is also called the initiation trials of the New York Giants, apparently, as well. Some people have hazing, we have ACL tears.
Yes.
So
whipping people at the lake.
I think what's going to be interesting is in a typical scenario, I would say don't expect to see him much because of the fact that it's a season game. Here's the curious part, and I don't know because Dable hasn't said anything on this yet. Drew Lock's out. You got Tyree Jackson as your emergency quarterback. You got Tommy DeVito, and that's it. Does DJ maybe play a little more because of this? Is this going to be something a reason to watch? You think they're going to throw Tommy DeVito in the whole game?
No. I mean, for the he's probably going to be in at least half the game, if not 3/4 of the game.
Honestly, I'm with you. I thought you're about to say is I don't think Daniel Jones is going to play more than a drive or two. And
that's what I'm saying.
The rest of the way.
Well, the only reason I say 3/4 because we might get Ty in there,
and it depends on what happens. Yeah. But I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. But it's interesting to think that maybe there's a small chance that DJ plays a little more than you think because of that.
There's a minute chance. I really don't think so because Tommy DeVito already proved that he could be a starter. I shouldn't say prove that he could be a starter, but he has had
spot starter.
Yes, he's a spot starter, and he's had the experience of it last year.
Yeah.
So why risk the overt chance of DJ hurting that leg once again?
Oh yeah.
There's no reason. Let him warm up the leg. Let him show what he can do, but don't overdo it.
Yes, I don't want him running at all. I just want him. I just want him planting and passing.
Yeah, don't put him in the opportunity. Yeah, don't put him in a position to get himself hurt.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to guarantee you guys this right now. When it comes time and this game is over, and people analyze this game and everything going on in it, people will overanalyze the hell out of Daniel Jones's game.
100%.
Whether it's good or bad. If he looks good, the people that love Daniel Jones are to come out and screaming about how great he is and how he's spectacular. He can do no wrong. He's a franchise quarterback. If he does bad, the people that hate him, I should say hate him, dislike him as their quarterback. I don't think it's not a personal thing. I don't think it feels like it sometimes, but I think that they're going to go, look, we were right. Here he is in year 6 and he still sucks.
Yeah. Coming off an ACL injury in the preseason game. Look how bad he looked.
Exactly. Like that. But they're going to say that about the preseason part too, because if the Texans don't play a lot of their starters, he sucked against backups. Like that's what he's going to be. So, I think it's interesting because that's going to happen either way. And if he plays 100%. Even average, you'll have the two sides probably fighting over which one's right.
And it's funny that you put the backup situation in there because, right? So if Houston does not start anyone, DJ looks great. All the haters are going to come out like, it was backups. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What does that prove? It was backups. But if he just looks mediocre or just average, they're backups. Why couldn't he look good?
The people love him. Like, coming off an ACL, of course he's not going to look good.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, the people that are on those camps aren't in the middle like us saying, okay, he's not the greatest quarterback, but he's our best quarterback. The people that are on either side of the argument and don't want to hang out in the middle with us are going to be the guys that are like making up a way to
twist it,
the group into their, their neighborhood, their argument there. And it's crazy, guys. No matter what happens, it's a preseason game. It's going to be a little bit of work and that's it. Like, we should not get too happy or angry over a preseason game because everybody will have good drives and bad drives in the NFL. Everybody. Mahomes even has good bad drives. He's a lot more good than bad, obviously, but he has bad drives sometimes too as well. No matter who you talk about. There's a lot more
great drives than bad drives. But yes, you're right.
That he does. But he does have bad drives occasionally. They all do. Every quarterback does. So, we can't get too excited. We can't get too upset. We just got to take it for what it is.
The thing to take away from watching DJ, probably in a drive, maybe two, is his mechanics. How does he step up in the pocket? Does he step up in the pocket?
Yep.
Does he look like a deer in headlights? Does he step up and throw the ball? How does he look like when he does throw the ball? Like, does he look a little shy? Or is he planting his foot down? Like, that's what you should take away. Not how well he's actually, obviously how well he's throwing the ball, but like, if he's throwing like he goes 3, 4, 5, don't be like, oh, he only threw 60% of his passes. Like, no, just look how he threw the ball. Like,
I mean, sometimes seem healthy moving around. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Take away from the mechanics is how's he looking? Like, does he look healthy, or does he like still look like he's limping around?
Yeah, and that's something that we don't know. And even at that point, again, you can sit there and say, short term, like you see him a little bit, that doesn't necessarily mean anything because sometimes he gets sore from long-term usage. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what's overall. So expect everybody to overanalyze the hell out of it. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So let's get into the injuries here. And the big one is the rookie sensation, Malik Neighbors, injured at practice here on Sunday, guys. And it's already like the woe is me crowd is definitely already out, guys. Like, oh my God, here's another injury. Guys, when Jermaine Illuminor got hurt, people were freaking the F out, to put it nicely. You notice Rob and I weren't. When this happened yesterday, people were freaking out so horribly. Which, first off, how sad is it that one player who's never even taken a snap in the NFL can affect our emotions about our team so much?
Yeah.
That's sad right there in itself, seriously. I'm just saying. I'm just calling it out for what it is. But it's nothing major. You can't freak out every time there's a little injury. And unfortunately, the fan base, because we're so used to everybody being injured long term and for horrible injuries and ACL tears and all this stuff, we're like once bitten 50 times shy. Like, that's what's happening at this point here. But it's a left ankle sprain. They said a fracture was avoided, it looks like. He's listed 100% as day-to-day. Day-to-day is not bad, guys. They might leave him out of this game on Saturday to go ahead and keep him healthy and not risk it. But day-to-day is not bad.
Listen, if you're day-to-day in the regular season, you're playing that game.
Yeah.
There's a few times, maybe 15% of the time, that he may not play the game, but some of that we think at the caliber he's going to be playing at, like he would play the game.
Yes. And let me be honest.
Unless it's a fracture.
I'm in my 40s. I take every day by day at this point. I could fall getting out of bed and break my hip at this point in my life. Who knows?
Well, Malik's half your age, so the good old days.
He actually is exactly half. He's not even quite actually. He's not even 21 yet. He's 20, isn't he? So yeah, he's not even half my age.
Oh, I was trying to make you feel better. Sorry.
I'm old enough to be his daddy. It's bad. I'm that old. Before we get to the next one here. Unpopular opinion sports guys are in the chat there. If you guys haven't already, like I said, we always like to showcase whenever we got any kind of other content creators that we respect in the chat here. Go ahead and like, subscribe these guys, check them out. Always fun. Been with them and with other shows as well. So guys, check them out. Definitely appreciate you being man. Let's get into the contest here before we get to the next. I think it's time for the contest, right? It's contest time.
I think it's time.
Oh, yes. Let's go.
To win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2 Giant Goofball podcast. Good luck to everyone.
Oh, yes, and here it is. The Daniel Jones signed jersey. Oh, yes. If you haven't already, guys, sign up. Sign up. It's free. Free! You can't beat the price.
It's free for me.
And I'll take 3. We only have 1 jersey there.
Yeah.
We only have 1 jersey. So let's get into our next injury we got to talk about here because we got a few going on here. So Cordarrelle Patterson, who is basically, for all intents and purposes, a starter right now. He's this one of the starting corners. Also injured. So it's like, yeah, a lot of injuries going on here, guys, now. So Flott's dealing with a quad injury and will miss the upcoming week, according to Dan Duggan of The Athletic. So the big question is, with quad injuries, you never know sometimes how long you're going to be out for. That's one of those injuries that you could be a week, you could be 2 or 3 weeks. Like, it's not a season ending. It's not a long thing. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it's one of those injuries that are nagging. If it's not taken care of immediately and right away, it's something that could nag through half the season, maybe longer. Like, plenty of guys, same thing with the hamstring. It's like that high like injury.
Yeah,
always has that tendency to linger. So glad it happened now. Let them sit, and then move forward.
That's the other thing that you say. Glad it happened now. Like, a mild strain could typically take about 2 weeks to heal up. Typically, and they're saying just this week he's going to be out right now. They don't know beyond that. 2 weeks would put us basically at the end of the preseason. Just out. Like, you got the 3rd game. Maybe he's back like a day or 2 before that, and that's it. And that's why they're probably saying he's going to miss this week and be next week. But, guys, this is a guy who we're calling him a starter because he's technically the top on the depth chart at the outside corner position alongside Deontay Banks here. But you guys really want to sit there and say that this guy is a lock to be a starter? Like, him being out, like, does this hurt his chances? Because what's going to happen when he goes out? Somebody else goes in his place. That's the problem. Somebody else is going to go in his place. And let's say if someone like the guy that I think should be starting at that position, I'll put your words in your mouth, Rob. Feel free to correct me if you agree or don't agree there. But Nick McLeod.
I mean, we talked about McLeod a lot just because, McLeod
can be only one.
Yeah. But
I just think he's the better corner, especially on the outside, because Flott was typically more of a slot guy so far. But
you're right. But when you talk about rotation, putting people in, like, Flott probably loses the starting job. But, I think Flott being healthy is overall better for the Giants than not having him at all.
Oh, yeah. And listen, he's going to get time in the field. I'm not suggesting we bench him and never see him again. I'm not suggesting that in any way, shape, or form. And to be honest, it's probably better for the Giants look-wise to have Cordarrelle Patterson be the starter because of the fact he was someone we drafted in the 3rd round. It wasn't looked at as a great pick when we made it because a lot of people said it was too early, including us. I said this story before, but I'll say it again. I mean, I feel like every time I hear Cordarrelle Patterson, I still go back to, because this was right before you and I started doing the show when we, got him. And I'll still remember on Talking Giants, Bobby, Skinner freaking out because he was so ticked off because because I prepared so much and I didn't even have anything on this guy. And he's a 3rd round pick. You expect to have the info on your 3rd round pick, but it also depends on where you have him ranked. We didn't rank Andrew Phillips. So when we got him in the 3rd round, we kind of have a similar situation. We knew who he was, but he wasn't a guy that we had as one of our top corners. So, Cordarrelle Patterson, unfortunately, been dealing with that since the get-go because he got drafted early. So he's got 3rd round expectations when he was a 4th or 5th round talent. And you kind of put him in an unfair scenario because of that. But guys, Nick McLeod, I'm sorry, is just a better everything we have seen in their careers so far. Unless somehow Cordarrelle Patterson got so much better in this offseason. We haven't seen him really, play enough for this season to say he hasn't learned something there.
I mean, that's not to say it can't happen because it does happen, but
yeah, as unpopular opinion sports is Flott is not better than McLeod right now. Dable and Shane want to give their draft picks the first shot at the starting jobs, but truth is, sometimes you miss. It is what it is. 100%.
100%. We've been saying that for a long time, but yes,
yeah. I mean, I like I said, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the way Shane. I don't want to say drafts because I like the fact he moves up and down the board and stuff. That he who shall not be named, but we're gonna name anyway. Gettleman used to be. But like, I don't like some of the picks he made. And third round has been my biggest issue with him.
I was about to say third round has been like that.
Is doo-doo. Like I said, Phillips, I'm not high in the draft pick. I'm hoping to be wrong, guys. Like I said, I'll root for every Giant. Every single one. You put that jersey on, I'm officially rooting for you. That's what it boils down to. But I'm just not high in the picks he's made in the third round for some reason. It's been a weird round for him. That's supposed to be like your starting, the last of your starters that you're going to pick up in the draft at that point, or at the very least, a prominent role player.
Yes, correct. And the problem is also in the third round too. Like, it's like one of those positions where you're at. It's like you 100%. You're looking for a starter or role position, but like it's easy to miss on good talent because you want someone that you think you should get in the fourth round, but you don't think you could get them in the snake back to you. So you go early. I mean, that happens a lot in different spots, but like that, because the third pick, just like you said, is like that last position where you're looking for that role, possibly for a starter. Like, sometimes you reach too much. And it seems like that's what Shane's been doing. It's been like third.
Yeah, you could say that with some of the picks in general with him, but we had the whole topic of the day with Shane. But the big thing is Flott's going to be out for a little bit, and it's going to be a chance for somebody like a Nick McLeod. We'll have to see who they put in opposite of Banks there on Saturday, but assuming they play the starters on defense. But we're going to have to see what they decide to do, because if they put McLeod there and he looks good, and he practices all week long and he looks good, and they go, hold on a second here, he might be looking a little better than Flott does, maybe that changes their opinion, and maybe Flott loses the job because of an injury. And I will always say I hate to see a player lose his starting job because of an injury, but it happens. It happens all the time. And sometimes it's not because you got hurt as much as you getting hurt gave them a chance to right that wrong. And that's what I think would be in this scenario. Again, based on what we've seen so far in their career. I hope I'm wrong. I want Flott to be an all-pro corner, guys. That's what I want. I just don't think
it's going to happen.
I just don't think he's got that in him. I just don't think he's even got a starting quarter in him. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think he's a good nickel dime guy, like a guy you bring in, in passing downs. I don't think he's bad for that. I just don't see starter on him. So we'll see there what happens. That should be an interesting thing to follow the next couple of weeks here. One more injury, guys. More injuries. Deontay Johnson, who's been the training camp star, like literally like the guy that everybody keeps talking about, and then follows it up with an amazing performance there, in the preseason game against the Lions here for week 1. Had a sack, had 2 forced fumbles, kind of was all over the place there. And he's got a sprained ankle now. So, that's one of those things, depending on what kind of sprain it is, because like in most injuries, there's different levels. He's going to be out for a little bit, and we'll get to a little bit, but the Giants signed a linebacker today. So that tells you that they probably think he's going to be out for a little bit. Nobody's given that word. So it's just me trying to connect dots like I like to do, because typically dots are there for a reason. And you can connect them pretty easily.
But he's terrible at Connect Four, guys. Don't let him fool you.
Go for it. Connect Four. I used to love that game. But yeah, so he suffered the sprained ankle though during the game against the Lions too, which is the interesting part. When he was going after Hendon Hooker, he sprained it. So, he's like I said, he looked good in camp, looked good in the game, and he was a guy that you thought now that at the beginning of the camp you might have said, "Yeah, this guy probably won't make the roster," but now you wonder. And we talked about a minute ago, like you hope to not lose your spot because of injury. This is that kind of position, really, because this is a guy who's worked his tail off as an undrafted rookie free agent, Not that everybody else hasn't as well, but he's you see him put the work in because you see the results this training camp. Sits on the practice squad all last year, gets everything going, looks good, and then gets hurt. And this is the worst time of year to get hurt, guys.
100%.
This is when they're forming their opinions of y'all. So I still think he can make the roster, though, guys. I really do. I think if you look at the way the training camp and the OTAs was going, they were actually putting him in with the first team often. It was almost like they were putting him back and forth with Mike and McFadden at that point. They're kind of moving him in and out, which makes sense because McFadden's great in run stopping, but he's not the best in passing downs. So same as we did with Isaiah Simmons last year, put him in passing downs. Maybe that's the plan they ended up doing with Johnson, is putting him in the passing downs. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. But the big thing right now is he's got to get healthy. And that'll probably take a few weeks. He might even miss the beginning of the season, depending on how bad of a sprained ankle it is. I mean, they didn't say day-to-day like they did with Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, because, once you start talking about high ankle sprain, you go up to, 6 weeks?
Yeah, it can be. So, we'll see what happens. I just hope he gets healthy, gets going, because this is a guy that looks like he had a potential future in the NFL based on when he's playing, so far here. So, I love an underdog. You know that. I love an underdog. Like, I love a guy that you don't expect to make anything of himself, and he just is scrappy and gets it done. And that's what Johnson's done. So, hopefully he comes back here healthy, comes back strong and ready to go here pretty soon. But time will tell.
I like dogs.
Oh. Next up, we got people that are healthy. They're not hurt anymore. At least that's some positive. We lose a couple of guys. We gain a couple of guys here and there, move people in and out. That's what we do. Evan Neal and JMS, both back to work at camp there, guys. So that's and the interesting one of this whole thing really is, let's be honest, it's the Evan Neal story. Like that's been the story of this offseason a lot. Like, will he be a starter when he comes back? Will he come back even? Who is he? Where is he? Because he's been kind of disappearing since we saw him working on an exercise bike during OTAs there. So doing his old Wicked Witch of the West thing.
He's getting used to flipping burgers.
Yeah, he should get used to that. But, I got to give the guy a little credit here, because he had a press conference that he was, part of there. And at the press conference, he was asked, what the plan is for him. He said, whatever role the team has for me, I'm going to embrace it. I'm not owed anything. All I want is what I work for. That's a good answer.
That's a perfect answer.
Yeah. I mean, there's been talks about he's open to now playing guard. He's open to being a swing tackle and a backup if he has to be. He's just, wants to get back to playing football. So I think everything that's gone down and seeing Illuminor come in and do much better than he has at right tackle, I think that's kind of humbled the man a little bit, to be honest with you. And it's not a bad thing. Sometimes you got to, especially when you've been a star. People think like these guys came in with a high draft status. That's why they all have an ego. No, it's not that they have an ego because of where they're drafted. They have an ego because of where they're drafted, how they played in college, how they got scouted in college, how they played in high school. Like these people have been great for, you go, okay, yeah, they're like 22 to 24 years old, these guys typically, and you go, act like everything's new. Like, no, these guys have been 6 to 8 years of being touted as amazing. It does get to your head.
Like, no, it's been longer than that, because most of these guys are studs in PB football.
Well, I'm just going back to high school. Who knows?
Well, I'm just saying, but like,
you're like, wrong.
This kid's got something. Oh, he could be something great, and like, coach takes onto you, works onto you, like, so like as a young kid to a young man, like you're getting told like you're special, you're something good, like let me be better, like they're getting embraced, and like they're beating up like on. There are people like Marshall Lynch. It's the typical like Central Jersey story. Like,
fine.
Yeah, sorry, not Marshall Lynch. But the running back goes on in Broncos and just went playing his team.
Which one?
Down south.
What? No Sean Marino?
Yeah, no Sean Marino. Way off. But same thing. Like that kid was a huge kid in 8th grade. He was like your size.
Well, he was from our neck of the woods. That's why we're using.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but I'm just using him as an example because like he was a humongous kid. Was that?
He went to Middletown South High School, didn't he?
That's what I said, Middletown South.
Yeah.
So, like, he's getting told all these great things. So once he gets to the NFL, and where was he drafted? 4th round?
He was actually, I thought, earlier than that.
He could have been, but like,
look it up.
His whole life especially people around here know the story. Like, he was a stud. The kid was great. And you go into the NFL, and now you're swimming with the sharks. Like, you're in deep sea fishing.
He was a 12th pick of the draft, dude.
Oh, was he that high? Holy shit.
Definitely not the 4th round.
Maybe. I didn't know.
Yeah, he was 12th pick in the draft overall. Definitely didn't live up to that draft pick, that's for damn sure.
But you're saying, like,
much like Evan Neal we're talking about here.
Yeah. Their whole life is they're told there's someone special.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They go with everyone else that's been told there's someone special, and
that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping this humbled him a little bit, because the route he was going, and I'm not just saying the product in the field, I'm saying the flipping burgers comment he made at the fans last year and stuff like that. Like, that's not going to win you any support. And you got to cut it back at that point. Just work on your craft, because if you want to win people over, a witty comment is not going to do it. Playing well in the field is what's going to do it. That's 100%. That's all that can do.
Yeah.
Now the other guy back again, JMS, John Michael Schmitz, our 2nd-round pick last year, is back on the field as well. So on Sunday they had him just doing individual drills, which is fine. That's typical. You want to ease him back into practice. You don't want to sit there and throw him on once at that point. That shoulder's been an issue for him going back to last year. So you really want him healthy and ready to go at that point. My big hope is he's healthy enough to go against the Texans on Saturday. I mean, that's my big hope, because live game reps for this entire line as a cohesive unit is so key right now. It's not even funny, guys. Like, this, even with his injury, it's caused issues, because he had John Runyon was originally at right guard. Now he's moved over to left guard. Greg Van Roten's been playing center a lot because of JMS being out, but he's played a little right guard now as well. You've had Schlottman going into center to play at times as well, so Van Roten can move over. You've had Stinney over a left. I mean, I want a 5-team group, a 5-player group at that point, playing next to each other, getting the live reps, game practice, everything, because it is so important when you play line to know what's gonna happen to the guy next to you. And when you play long enough, you don't have to guess. You just know which direction this person's going to step, which direction they're going to move at that point. You have to look over. You just know where they're at. And that's so key to gaining. Listen, guys, we'll gain it either way. Like, I actually have a lot of faith in this line. Again, not to be that I think it's going to be an amazing line, but I think it's going to be a whole lot better than we've had lately the last couple of years. That's for damn.
I was going to say, in comparison to last year, yes, I have a whole lot of faith in this line. Do I have a whole lot of faith they're going to be a top 5 line this year?
No. God, no.
But I have a lot of faith in this line to be
We're aiming for mediocrity.
Better. Yeah.
Yes. We'll take a C+ or a C- or a C even. Like, we'll be fine with that. Like, we just want a passing grade finally. So, but it's key to get him back, and it's good to get him back, because if you don't think this team is better with him, you're crazy. I mean, he was highly touted coming out of Minnesota, obviously, for a reason. He was considered by most people the best center in the entire draft, unless you are the Jets, apparently, because they took Tippmann first. But otherwise, most people had him as the best center in the draft. We did at that point, and we want to be right. So therefore, we're hoping good things. All right, let's get into the new players here. We got some new players here. We got new Giants. Got that fresh Giant smell there.
Ooh.
So we did a running back swap first off. So the Giants signed Lorenzo Lingard and waived Jacob Sailors. Now, you might have noticed who Jacob was, because he was the guy standing on the sideline during the Lions game, not really playing at all when everybody else is running amok and doing good things. That just told you right there where the Giants thought of him. Again, I like to connect dots. That's not a difficult dot to connect. When Dante Miller is doing like 15 rushes in the 4th quarter and Sailors is sitting on the sideline, not even getting a chance, that tells you what you need to know. That they like Miller, they don't like Sailors, and Sailors gone now. So let's meet the newest Giant, Lorenzo Lingard. So he was originally signed as a undrafted rookie free agent coming out of Akron, but he's also played a couple different places, guys. So besides the fact that he's already been with the Jacksonville Jaguars camp here, I mean college. So he played for the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Gators before using his 6th year of eligibility, which still sounds ridiculous to say. His 6th year of eligibility in college. at Akron.
Yeah.
So he had only 186 rushes in his entire college career. So really not the usual mileage you expect on a back that spent 6 years in college. At Akron last year, at 143 rushes, 641 yards, 4 touchdowns, 38 catches, 368 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I got to be honest with you guys. That does not impress me. Like, if this was a Shania Twain song, it'd be, that don't impress me much. Because
But he's got a car.
That don't impress me much. It's like that'd be the second Talking Giants reference to me in this episode. Where's Justin Pennequeen? He's a huge Shania Twain fan. But it's just like you went to a tiny college and you didn't own it. Like, you didn't embarrass yourself. I'm not saying you didn't belong in the college ranks. But for me to be impressed by a small school guy, you got to freaking own it. Like, you got to be, I am the best player, not just on the football program, but at this entire school. 600 yards ain't doing it for me, guys. And I got to wonder.
You're a rocket scientist.
That don't impress me much. Stop
it. Sorry.
Sheesh. But, so you're Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Well, that don't impress me much.
Anyway. Oh, my God.
All right.
But take the Ritalin, take the Ritalin. But it's like, I look at those numbers. I'm sorry. I'm just not. It's like, I'm not going to say the whole thing. But it's like, it's 1,000 yards basically you put up. That's not that much. Like, I want a 1,400 season out of you to be impressed at Akron.
Yes. This is camp body all over it.
100%. And you got to wonder, did Sailors want to get cut? Because he was actually, I don't want to say he was a big get, but he had a really good year at the UFL playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks. And there was a couple of teams that did want him. So you got to wonder if he's like, you know what, there's no path for me here, guys. Let me go. I wonder, and I have no news on that, guys. I'm not trying to say that I have any breaking news on that. I have any inside information. To me, the Giants obviously want an additional running back. That's why they dropped him and picked up another one. So it just makes me wonder if he's going to now see if another team that might not have the depth that we have. How great is that here to say, by the way?
Right. That's so awkward.
Yeah, we have great depth.
Oh.
We do. Listen, we do. All those guys look great. Again, it's preseason.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too excited. It seems we talked about with Drew Lock. I don't want to get too excited. But they all looked very good at the very least. They look like they can hang, and they're all legitimate NFL running backs at that point. So, again, can Lingard make the roster? Probably not. So enjoy his couple weeks as a Giant. Maybe he goes in the practice squad. Who knows? Maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's kind of a deal they made with him. Like, hey, we're going to keep you on the roster for a couple weeks. At the end of it, we're probably going to cut you, but we'll try to pop you on the practice squad and see what happens.
Yeah.
That very well could be.
Yeah, try to pay you.
You get those handshake deals sometimes. You do. And if you're going to put somebody up there, you might as well get a guy who doesn't have a lot of tread taking off the tires yet and is inexperienced because he had almost all of his career rushes. He had 186 rushes, 143 of them last year. So he only had 40 rushes at his time in both Florida and Miami. So we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens if I'm right on that. And I'm wondering if Sailors ends up signing with somebody else pretty quick there, and Lingard ends up on the practice squad. So we had a second signing though. So many moves. We got the moves like
all
Jagger.
the moves.
So yeah, we got KJ Cloyd, linebacker, signed with us. Waived cornerback Caleb Hayes there. So got another little move there at the back end of the roster there. So let's first meet the newest Giant. So KJ Cloyd is an undrafted rookie free agent out of Louisville that originally signed with the Vikings, got cut by them. He's 23 years old, 6'2", 228 pounds. Over his 4 seasons at Louisville, Cloyd recorded 84 tackles, 7 of which for a loss, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 3 passes defended in 49 games. So I'm going to say this, guys. Let's do the math on that real quick. 84 tackles, 49 games. The math is not difficult. That's less than 2. I'm just saying, like I'm not gonna be like we're not gonna break out a Shania Twain again, but that don't impress me much. That's for damn sure. Okay? Like that's just, and I get it. They're back end roster kind of guys. These are guys that you don't have, necessarily doing anything crazy at that point. There, he did play last year also at Miami. So yeah, I mean, he's got a little experience at least in a little better of a school than Louisville. Not that Miami is a huge I know it's going to upset the people at the U now, but it's not that great a school anymore. Yeah, it's just you look at it and go, what are we looking at here? 44 tackles, 13 games last year. Like, I just, like I said, I don't know the point of the move. I got to think this is a camp body situation. Well, camp body, because we're trying to figure out something with Johnson because he's injured. Deontay Johnson's injured. We bring another linebacker. And that's part of what makes me think is that Deontay Johnson's going to be hurt for a little while. So, and I guess now we wave goodbye to Caleb Williams, who was another undrafted rookie free agent out of BYU, originally signed by the Jaguars last year, spent all of last year on our practice squad. And it's interesting because considering the injuries we got the secondary, we talked about Flop before. Drew Phillips also has a little bit of an nagging injury. Jalen Mills has been out all camp basically at this point. Tyler Nubin was injured until recently. Considering all those injuries in the secondary and the fact that they have also brought in several corners in the past week or so, kind of speaks volumes to what the Giants think of him. And yet, the second they got him, dropped onto the waiver wire, he got picked up by the Broncos. So Hayes has already gone onto another roster and everything pretty quickly there. So good for him. I mean, I always wish well people no matter what. So unfortunately, they just all can't be winners in the NFL. It is what it is. So let's pay the bills real quick, guys, and then we are off to the land of EA Sports here.
It's in the game.
If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Oh.
Let's go.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
And don't forget, guys, if you enter the Daniel Jones contest for the free jersey by subscribing to our YouTube channel and emailing us at 2giantgoofballs@mail.com, you also get additional entries by being one of the members of buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. So, all right, guys, let's get into the Madden rankings here. We did a little bit of that for you guys earlier when they came out there to start, but for whatever reason, they've been kind of released them a little slowly. And a lot of the other news places that I look for stuff to find for you guys there at that point didn't really release all the different rankings there. But now they have, because Madden itself is coming out. It came out today, actually, people that pre-ordered online for the digital copies here. So let's go over the quarterbacks here. First up, and of course, there's our guy, DJ. If he
DJ.
can't, hopefully somebody else can. That's us. That's an honest assessment. Daniel Jones ended up with a 71, guys. A 71. Like, that's a good backup. That's not a good ranking at all, guys. Drew Lock with the 64. Tommy DeVito with the 61. Guys, this is probably our lowest ranked group in the entire game. I have to say, after looking at all the different ratings there. And that's not good. It's also the most important position on the entire field. So this definitely exemplifies the issues we're having at the quarterback position. But Daniel Jones, I feel like, is the guy that probably, and I'm gonna temper expectations here. I think by the end of the season, the Madden game updates the points and the ratings there as things go. By the end of the season, Daniel Jones will be a 76. I'm gonna say.
77.
I'm gonna say that's probably more than that.
I just went the Price is Right up to you. Boom.
Well, what if you overbid? If you overbid, it goes down to 1. I feel like that's where he's at. Like, I think he's not great. So I'm not trying to say in the 80s or anything where you would put a better quality, even not a great, but a quality starting quarterback. But you put him as an average, guy who's kind of that starting quarterback, but not a great starting quarterback. That's what you put him. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully good things. I'd love for him to go in the 90s. Let's put him in the 90s.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Let's do it. He's a Giants quarterback. I got a root for him.
What do you got to put him at 90? 90 what? Drew, what do you got?
97. Let's go for it.
96. Let's go.
one overall. We're doing Price is Right rules. Let's get into the running backs here because that's a group we just talked about 78. A minute ago. We got some depth here, guys. And the crazy thing is, one of the guys we talked about with depth didn't even make the cut. If it's in the game, it's not always in the game apparently because we got Devin Singletary starting off at 81. For those who are curious, because I know someone's going to ask, I looked it up. Saquon Barkley 92. That's how high he is. So Devin Singletary 81. Tyrone Tracy, the rookie, is a 69.
Ayo.
And that tends to increase as the year goes on. Eric Gray, the quote unquote hero from the Lions game there, 68. Joshua Corbin, who's not even on the I'm not even on the roster anymore, but they still have him on the original roster that's going to be coming up to the Madden game there at a 66. Dante Turbo Miller, our boy.
Turbo time.
Our guy we're rooting for, our underdog, not even on the roster. So that's a little crazy to me. Like, he's a rookie. Like, you put Corbin on there who has been a couple of years and barely touched the field, but a rookie comes on, you're like, no, I'm just not going to put him in there. So I'm sure the updated roster will, though. If you update the roster, they'll probably put him on there. So if somebody wants to, put in the comments section, because I'm kind of curious, because I won't probably get it till I get my new laptop. My laptop's a little fried. So if people want to put in the comment section, where'd Turbo Miller go? And maybe just cross out Joshua Corbin, put in Turbo Miller at that point there,
It's turbo time.
I'm just like I said, I'm curious if that's what they do. Like I said, we like Turbo. We can't help it. It's not just the name. We like the story. Let's get into the tight ends. Oh yeah, tight ends. How creepy can we say it? Anyway, Giants tight ends. And this is a packed group here.
Like, ready 69.
Yeah, like you want to talk about a roster that could have been thinned out maybe a little bit on their part. Like you don't put Turbo Miller at the running back position, but let's put 6 tight ends in. Like, like any shot in hell, we're gonna have 6 tight ends on the roster here, guys. So rookie Theo Johnson starts off. They start him off at a 72. That's fair, I think. I honestly do. He's a rookie. He's a 4th round pick. That's a little high for your typical 4th round pick, actually. So that's a show of respect there. Daniel Bellinger gets a 70. Again, I think fair. I think he had an off year last year, and we don't know what to expect in year 3 at this point from him. Chris Manhertz, 68. Again, a veteran blocking tight end, doesn't catch the ball worth a damn. Almost like having a 3rd tackle out there. So yeah, that's. When you're one-sided like that, that's a good spot for you. Speaking of one-sided, Lawrence Cager, 67. It's the complete opposite. Can't block, but can catch the ball. Jack Stoll, the ex-Eagle, another blocking tight end, 63. And Tyree Jackson, we talked about before, our quarterback number 3 for this upcoming game here, at a 56. So, yeah, I can't complain with any of the spots they gave. I mean, I like to say that Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger will get better as the year goes on rating-wise, but I think those are all fair ratings for where these guys are at. The only one I will say, and I think people kind of, not like me for saying this a little bit because it's a little bit down on the Giants there, I think Cager's a little high. Not crazy high, a little high. I'd have him in the low 60s. I wouldn't have him in the high 60s.
Yeah.
Only because he can't block. And while he's a catching tight end, like, it's not like he's like, he
doesn't light up the field. It's not like he's ever lit up the field.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
Yeah. That's probably fair. And I actually both of them Manhertz too. I probably would Manhurst's a little lower.
Manhurst's a blocking tight end has been around the league for years and just done well blocking wherever he goes.
Yeah.
That's the difference. He's blocked well. Cager's caught okay.
Touche. I was going to say like it's six.
That's where I'm getting at. If you're looking at both their stuff like that. So
yeah.
So all right. Let's go to that D line.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, there he is laughing his butt off there. Dexter Lawrence. I love the photos that man takes. Like he always you want to talk about rooting for a guy because he loves the game. Like Dexter Lawrence always looks like he's having fun. You know, it's just that guy that you want to like joke around with because he just looks fun. Defensive line. Guess who number 1 is? The aforementioned Dexter Lawrence. Crazy.
Ooh.
Crazy. Rated number 95. By the way, highest rating in all of Madden by any New York Giant. Second highest was Andrew Thomas, 89. So Dexter Lawrence, 95. And then we go way downhill.
Yeah.
That's about all the good
real fast
this segment. Jordan Phillips, 71. DJ Davidson, 67. Rakeem Nunez-Roches, 67. Jordan Riley, 63. Timmy Horn, 62. Ryder Anderson, 62. Now, what's interesting is you got a 9-point swing with 6 guys. It's not a huge difference there. It's like we have depth but no quality starters. Like that's what basically we're missing here. So I still think, again, I try not to be the homer here. I still think that what's going to end up happening is Nunez-Roches will take one of the spots on the starting roster, which I think he's a little low. I think he should be in the low 70s. I think I'm not saying anything crazy, but low 70s. I think 71, 72 around there. And I think what's going to end up happening is either Phillips, Davidson, or Riley, one of those 3, are going to step up and do better than people expect because the Giants have a history of being good at drafting defensive linemen. I'm not expecting crazy because these guys are late round picks. Don't get me wrong. But I'm expecting one of them to step in there and not embarrass themselves. And I know it's setting the bar very low. But when you're standing next to the greatest nose tackle in all of the NFL,
it really makes it look easier.
When you're standing next to either Kayvon Thibodeau or Brian Burns, depending on what side you're in, it's going to help you look better. Like, they're going to have an upper hand by the talent around them at that point there. So, like I said, one of those guys is going to shine. It's just a matter of who. And we're going to find out. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they move people around a little bit until they find out who that is. Because you got to put them in gameplay situations sometimes to find this out. So, let's get into the third highest ranking in Madden. And that's the Giants linebackers here.
Oh, yeah.
There he is, Bobby Okereke. Clearly someone stepped on his foot in that picture or something. I'm not sure what happened. So, Bobby Okereke, 86. That's a pretty respectable number. I'm sure some Giants fans are going to say he should be higher. But this is I think that was his first year with us having that kind of like amazing season like that. So therefore, give him another year and they'll put him closer to that 90 spot, I think, at that point. I think he'll get there. I really do. Number 2 on linebackers is the guy who doesn't even play linebacker anymore. Isaiah Simmons, 76. Now, that's a ridiculously high number, guys. I'm going to throw it out there point blank. That's a ridiculously high number. Like, I don't think he's that good. I think he's like a 69, 70 around there. He's still living off of his draft status, I feel like, with that kind of number. Like, if he was a 76, let's be honest. And I know we don't actually give rankings like that when you evaluate players in the NFL. It's just Madden. But let's say hypothetically, if he was a 76 talent, they would not be converting him over to be a nickel dime guy. They wouldn't move him from safety to linebacker to edge to this to that. He would have a spot in a home. You say, okay, you're a 676 linebacker. You're sitting here. Again, I know they don't use that exact term, but I'm saying like they would say you're a pretty good linebacker. How about that? For anybody who wants to argue the semantics, I know at least one person will. But
we'll argue right now.
Wow,
that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm not going to do that.
That's just mean. Why would you do that?
I was going to do that.
I have feelings. I don't know where they are, but I have them somewhere.
Let's say, are they in the closet next to your Bigfoot pictures?
Oh, what's going on here? We got a mustache.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's Madden, guys. I don't expect 100% accurate, but that's highly inaccurate. I'm sorry. Micah McFadden next up at 73. That's probably about right, to be honest. I know there's a lot of Giant fans that like him, and he has some really good games, but he has some games you don't hear from him either. And he's a run stopper. He's not very good in the passing plays. That's why they used to put Simmons in there for him. So probably about right. After that, Matthew Adams is the special teams ace that we got here from the Browns, 69. And he doesn't really play defense that much. It was hard to judge that. It really is. Like, he's more of a special teamer than anything else. Next up after that, our last pick that we had in the NFL draft, Darius Muasau, 67. And then the guy we had high hopes for that's kind of let us down to a certain degree, but only because his body let him down. And that's Darian Beavers at a 64. And then the last guy is the guy we forget about until the special teams come around, because that's the only time he plays. Carter Coughlin at a 62. So, yeah, another group with a ton of people, guys. Like, none of these guys are not all making the roster. I'm sorry. That's a little that's a little crazy. That's probably not happening. But especially Isaiah Simmons, like I said, really is going to be over to the DBs at that point. I don't know where they want to list him at in the game once that happens, because I assume they're going to update that and change that over when that happens. But yeah, he's going to play the slot corner position at that point there, and nickel dime kind of stuff at that point. So, yeah. Like I said, overall, though, besides the Simmons thing, I can't really pick on the numbers. That's probably pretty accurate. So,
yeah, I feel pretty,
from one crowded room to the next, the Giants corners. I hope you guys have half an hour for us to go over all these players.
Are we in an octagon or in a square?
Oh my God. It changes every single day who we have in this corner room. So it's interesting the way they set it up. Deontay Banks at a 77, which I think it's fair. He had a struggle. I wouldn't call him an elite corner at this point. So 77 is probably, I think that's even a little generous potentially. Trey Herndon, they have listed as our second best corner at 73. That's a little redonkulous high.
Agreed.
And next up, we have a tie, which is interesting considering the way the depth chart's going. A tie between Cordell Flott, Nick McLeod, there can be only one, and David Long Jr. and Darnay Holmes. All four of them at 72. That's a little crazy.
Where do you plug them in?
Well, I can tell you where the Giants seem to want to plug him into. Plug it in, plug it in. But I would not suggest doing their depth chart. But yeah, like I said, I think Herndon should be lower. I think Flott should be a little higher. Nothing crazy like 73, 74. And I'm a McLeod guy. I would put him like 75. Darnay Holmes, you like -2. Now, you may be saying to yourself, like, you haven't mentioned our rookie that we talked about in the program that Rob and I weren't exactly the most excited about when we drafted him, Andrew Phillips. They gave him a 70. Aaron Robinson, who got cut, is a 71 higher than him. That's not a good look, Madden. Give us at least the illusion of liking our pick.
What about last year's 7th round pick?
Yeah, 6th round pick last year, Trey Hawkins at a 67. And again, Hawkins is the guy you gotta have to just sit back and develop for a couple of years. We knew that going into that. Until he got hyped up way too much. Stanley Thomas Oliver III, besides having the longest name in the freaking Giants, has the lowest grade of all the corners. That's 65. God damn, it's a long name. Like, that's
it really is.
You're inviting me out to tea, like at a fancy home.
Yeah, but by the time you're done saying the name, you're done with your tea.
You, sir, are cordially invited to the home of Stanley Thomas Oliver III, Esquire, for a spot of tea. But yeah, 65 guys. So yeah, it just shows you what we've been saying all along. This is where, again, we're going to nitpick a little on some of the points here and there where they have people, but we've been saying this all along. It's got some depth. It's lacking in the top. Banks is a legit starter. I don't know what to tell you on CB2, guys. I don't. I wish I had good news for you. I like giving you guys good news. But Flott, I'm not sold on. McLeod I like, but I'm not saying he's solid. I just think he won't embarrass himself. This is one of the concerns, and the rankings show it, and the rankings are kind of accurate in this one there for the most part. So We'll see what happens. Hopefully one of these guys bounces way up at that point. I should say 2, because we need Banks to bounce up too, because 77 going against that juggernaut of a wide receiver core he has to go through this year is going to be kind of scary. So, yeah. Let's hope that iron sharpens iron with neighbors. So, all right. Yeah. Last one, guys. We got to talk about this squad because they're just special. They are so special. So special. Because they're the special teams. There's Gano looking very upset, like, oh, gee, Williker's shocking.
Oh, jeez.
So, listen, we're going to list the main 3 guys here. So, Graham Gano, kicker at 77. Kind of interesting place, but he's kind of a hard guy to pinpoint where to put him at because he didn't look good last year, but he was also injured. He's also getting up there in age at that point. So, yeah, that's probably about accurate.
I was about to say, it's probably fair.
Probably fair. And he'll probably go up as the season progresses or go down as the season progresses. He's one of those guys that, listen, guys, he doesn't come back from this injury 100%, or if by the time starts catching up a little bit with him,
he's going to go down.
Gano is one of those guys that expiration date is coming up soon. I hate to say it that way, but that's the honest truth of the matter, potentially. I mean, who knows? Because you also got some kickers that kick into their early 40s with no problem whatsoever, too. But you kind of always have to be on the lookout when they get to that age because he's 37. Some of them start taking it downhill at that point. Some of them got 5 or 6 more years to go. You just never know.
But he's also, like you said, he's also coming off an injury, too. So, you're looking at the injury in time.
Yes.
By the time also doesn't let you heal as fast. Sorry.
Then we got John's favorite, who I saw him in the comment section, so hopefully he's still here. We're talking about Jamie Gillan, the Scottish Hammer there.
Oh, yes. The Scottish Hammer.
He's got a 72 score there, We're talking about the Highlander. Now we got an actual Highlander. No, it's funny because we keep mentioning that, but Graham Gano is also Scottish. No one ever brings it up.
But is he from Scotland Scottish, or is he Scottish
from
heritage?
Scotland Scottish? Is this like when people make fun of Irish Americans for calling themselves Irish when they've never been to Ireland?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
100%.
So he is from I'm going to mispronounce it if I say it, guys. So Arbroath, Scotland. That's where he's from. So yeah, he grew. Yeah, I'm saying he was born in Scotland. So he. But let me see here. I'm trying to look right now for you guys. Now you got me looking. Let's see. I gotta look it up. His dad was actually in the U.S. Navy. So yeah, he's actually not Scottish.
He was stationed over there?
Yeah, he was stationed over there, I guess. Everybody talks about him always being Scottish. He grew up in Florida. That's about as far as Scotland as you get. We have no haggis here, that's for damn sure. So
let's say, but you guys are out there in the Wild West.
So yeah, they keep talking about him being Scottish. He's not that Scottish apparently after all. He's just was born in Scotland to Americans. Faker. Casey Kreider, which is going to start out a rant for me. I'm guaranteeing you that. Just forewarning you guys. Rant coming in 5, 4, 3.
Leave his snapper
2,
alone. His long snapper.
No, what is it that Madden's going to actually leave the long snapper as an actual position? Let's be honest. Anybody who's played Madden on a regular basis, the first thing you do is you cut the long snapper and you put anybody over there as a guard, center, whatever that happens to have the highest ranking as a snapper. We all do it. Because why am I keeping a guy who's listed as a tight end at a ranking of 31? At what point does Madden take that position seriously and say, you know what? We should put this as a roster spot. LS, long snapper. You're the snapper. That's what you do. And if you put somebody there who's not a long snapper, they're going to fumble the ball. Let's give some importance to the position here. Because you can't just put whoever you want there. You can say, hey, John Michael Schmitz, you're going. Austin Schlottman, you're a long snapper now. and a backup center. Like, you can't just do that. In the NFL, that would never work.
Oh, I was about to say, in the NFL, yes.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to make the game realistic, then why are you getting rid of a position? It just doesn't make sense. And they've always done this. Listen, I'm old. I admit it freely. So I started playing, the first Madden I had was Peyton Manning's rookie year, Madden 99. Had Barry Sanders on the cover. Okay, that's how old I am, okay? And that was for the PS1. And because I didn't play when I was young. I didn't start playing until I was like high school and got really into football. But they always had that. That was always a thing. Even when they were like ugly block players that looked nothing like the actual person. Like, it was it was somebody you cut. So I'm just calling you out, EA Sports and Tiburon and all you people.
Put it in the game.
Yeah, if it's in the game, it should be in the game. Just saying. Stop belittling these people what they do. Alrighty, let's go over. We got a couple of comments to go over before we head on out here for the night. So let's see here. We go here. Unpopular Opinion Sports. Again, guys, if you haven't, like, subscribe, follow them. He says, third round's been the Giants' weakness for years. Oh, it has. Listen, in all fairness, drafting has been the Giants' weakness for years. Let's call it like it is. Johns, it says, another running back. I thought the 3 we had this week did great. Yeah. And we got rid of one. And we have 5 now. So yeah. That's this. We're collecting them like Pokemon. He also says, just hope Devin runs the rock good for us. He will. I have a lot of faith in Devin Singletary because he's gone to multiple teams now with the Bills and the Texans, and he's been the same player. So we should expect him to be a guy who does about 800 rushing yards, gives you just over 1,000 yards total overall. That's what he is. He's shown you what he is. Timothy says, should the Giants trade 2 first-rounders to the Broncos for Patrick Surtain? No. I don't think so. If you only had to give up a second-round pick to get Brian Burns, you shouldn't have to give that up to get Patrick Surtain. They're both premium positions at that point. So, let's see. He also says, he was done before. He was saying, should the Giants trade a 25 first-rounder and a 26 second-rounder to the Broncos for Patrick Surtain? Like I said, I think it's given up a little much, especially when you're going to have to go ahead and give this guy a huge contract on top of that probably there. So, I think it's at that point where you probably don't want to do that kind of thing. Let's see. Next up, John says, that jersey can be worth money if he proves himself this year. If no, Tommy DeVito is going to be stepping in. Yep. Here it is, guys. If you haven't already joined, again, subscribe to Two Giant Goofballs YouTube page. That's youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs. And like I said, hit that subscribe and send an email at the twogiantgoofballs@mail.com so we can get you entered in. John says, I swear that Madden game hates the Giants. It always helps Dallas too. Doesn't matter. I still win because I got ice blood in my veins. There you go. And he's laughing at we said 69. He says, yes, let's get in there. I love tight ends. And he says, Bellinger is great on Madden. Doesn't matter what they rate him. He's a good blocker. I mean, listen, I feel like you can do a whole lot with pretty much any tight end if you run the right offense in Madden again. You know, there's certain positions you don't have to worry about too much. It's great to have a great tight end, obviously, but you can do without a great one in that game. So, all righty, guys. So we're going to call it a night. We'll be back again for you guys Wednesday. Wednesday, we're going to go ahead and do for you guys the preview of the Texans game there, going over, all the rumors of what's going to happen as far as how people are going to play, how much to expect of them, things to look for, battles going on still at that point there. So, keep yourself posted for that. Again, we typically record every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn. And like I said, we're going to bring back Twitter, I think, soon there. We haven't pulled up that trigger yet, but we're probably going to bring it back soon since Elon Musk is making us pay to go ahead and post on there again as Rob comes back there from his brief break there. So, again, as always, we're also on all the available audio podcast platforms. So Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe on both the video and the audio. That'd be great. We'd appreciate that. If you know anybody else that you think might like the show, too, share. We're horrible at marketing, guys. We count on you guys. Without you guys, we are nothing. So appreciate you guys listening in as always. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. And as always, Giant fans,
go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.